Welcome back to the channel. Today we're installing some FK coilovers on our E30 M3, and it is a pleasant surprise that we actually got a South African company to assist us in this particular build. So without further ado, this is FK coilovers. Well, they're German-made coilovers, which is TÜV approved. TÜV approved being that it meets the minimum safety requirement standards equipped on a German vehicle. A while back, Mighty Car Mods actually did a build. It was a Golf 4 in Austria or something, and one of the requirements of it in order for the car to be approved road legal was that the parts that were used on the car needed to be TÜV approved. Quite confident enough to say that the coilovers that we are using has met the minimum safety requirements and would supersede any of the other, I would say, cheaper brand coilovers out there. They're pretty reasonably priced, and for the price you get pretty good value for money. Quite honored that work together with FK South Africa for this particular build. Let me take you guys through the coilover setup and tell you guys what's happening. Is purely a height and temper adjustable coilover, but at the end of the day, for me, it was more about the quality, and FK coilovers do seem to be the quality of choice for this particular build. The build quality of the coilovers are pretty decent. So instead of spending big bucks on like Olands or like KW or like BC coils, FK coilovers are pretty damn good. Let's see how good they are. I'll take you guys through what came in the package, the unboxing of it. So pretty boxes and things like that, they are not really for me. The reason being is that unless it's a Rolex Submariner or Oyster Perpetual, you get a nice leather box with additional straps and toolings and things like that there. But stuff like this here where I'm going to eventually throw it away, I'm not too concerned about the box itself. So these brown boxes for me do the trick. Fast as to how this thing was actually packaged. But when it did come, it came neatly in one big box, and I've just taken it out. So here you can see the coilovers. It's meant for an E36, and I'll explain to you guys why we're using an E36 on our E30 M3 build. That's because we have used the 5-hole suspension. So we can see, I think this is the helper spring here, this is the actual spring on top, this is the adjustability, and yeah, quite nice billet pieces on the top to keep the coilover in place. We have the nut on the top, and here's your dampening right here. Now that being said, I actually already have the dampening on the inside. Now the rear itself, these are the spanners to adjust height up and down. This box here, we have the rear. Here's your adjustability on the rear, so this will sit at the bottom and put it in. So let's get to the actual install. So the install was pretty basic. All we needed to do was mount the coilover to the hub at the back. So you can see this is the E36 hub. We mounted the coilover. I haven't really raised this as much as possible, but I want to raise this to the maximum that it can, because when we do fit the wheels on, I don't want it to rub against the freshly painted fender. Now on the top itself, you see we have the camber adjustment on the top. As I explained to you guys, this was only a two-way coilover, but I wanted the adjustability of the camber on the top. So with that being said, I got my own camber plate, so I made this cheap coilover set actually a three-way adjustable, and you can see the dampening here on the top for shock itself. Now this entire setup was for an E36. We even did the E36 uppers as well. We just needed to drill another hole. How that's going to impact the geometry of the suspension, only time will tell. Now on the rears, Kelvin, let's get to the rear, right? On the rear, what we'll do on the rear is we'll do the exact same thing, but it's pretty much a little bit less complicated. Now, it just so happened that the color of the shocks actually matches, or the color of the springs actually matches the color of the car quite decent. Now we still have to do rubberizing on the inside of the fender well. That we'll do at the later stage. But that being said, the suspension here is pretty sharp. So we have our perfect offset bush there at the bottom. We have the M3 control arm. We have E36 hubs and calipers. Now I might do the 135 caliper mod on this particular setup as well. I don't know, it just depends on the rim size, how the rims all pan out. If it's too small, I'll stick with these calipers. They are an upgrade from E30. Kelvin is notorious of actually fitting himself inside an engine bay. But never have I seen him done this before. Kelvin, knock, where are you? Where are you? Are you in the tailgate? What the So if I close the tailgate, you'll actually fit in here, eh? Huh? So the shock is going to be removed, the spring is going to be removed for both the passenger and the driver's side. Once that is out, we're going to install the coilovers. Coilovers are sitting there on the inside. We'll try and get it as high as possible. But at the same time, I want to change the hubs on the car. So put new hubs on this car and change the discs as well at the same time. So this will be killing 3 birds with 1 stone. So those of you that follow me on Instagram most probably would have seen what are the options for our E30 M3, the blue one there at the back. Now, shoulder's getting a little bit too broad. Can't show you guys. That's okay. But nonetheless, that blue one over there. Alright. So here's the dilemma that we face. Let me take you through what's the option. So our first options are these compomotive motorsport racing wheels. I think the blue and the white will go extremely well. The second option we have are these BBSs, RC, whatever they are. I don't even know what BBSs they are. Now, in terms of the two designs, putting it up against the car, this has a bit more of a stance look. We have very, very, very deep dishes. So if I put my hand in there, all the way in, it's about here. That's the size of the dish. So I would say that's about 4 inches. Yeah, maybe 4 inches or so. And on this side here, there's no real dish. So this is basically sitting flush with the fender, high polish. But again, they're both motorsport inspired. So for our motorsport build over there, these two wheels, either one will complement. It's just that the one would be more for stance and the other one would be, I would say, more practical usage. Here we have, I would say this is about a 10J in the rear or 10.5, not too sure. These are 9.25 Js. So you can see the difference between the two is very minimal with these massive stretch tires on it just to see if we can get the car to roll. But here's a good example of how they are. So let me know what you guys think, which wheel we should fit on the E30 M3 race car. Comment below and let me know, and then we can take a poll and see which one it is. On this side here, we have just refurbished the diff. So here, what we've done on the E46 M3, we merely refurbished the disc. We put new seals on the diff as it was leaking, and we obviously give the undercarriage a clean at some time. But I think it's looking pretty good. Kelvin did a pretty decent job. He followed the instruction manual to the T. I don't know if he can read or was the instruction manual actually in Swahili. But Kelvin, you.
Hi guys, how are you?
Oh yeah. Talk to your fans out there.
How are you guys?
Yeah.
I'm happy to finish this car today. I like to see this car running today, guys.
You want to see it running today?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. We're gonna have to clean up a lot there, né? All that oil and all of that. Sometime once the car is up and running. Okay, so yeah, suspension is in on the E30 M3 as well. You can see the fronts are in with the camber adjustment on the top. We have the dampening here at the back. I kind of left it at the highest ride height. And then on the rear itself, busy playing around with some discs so that I can actually get a bit of a broader wheel. This is the original disc that comes from the Z3. You can see how much bigger it is. You can see this part is a lot bigger. So by reducing the size, I can actually get a deeper, bigger wheel, maybe even 11J or 10J. Let's see. It's all dependent on the offset. And then, yeah, FK coilovers are in. They look pretty decent. And here as well at the back, our adjustment on the shock for the dampener. I think to the left is negative. So my brother Wasim will love this here. It's totally negative at the moment. Maybe find it in the middle, count the clicks. So, okay, so this is full positive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So it's about 16. So this is totally soft. So let's try it in the middle, which would be 8 clicks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That should be now in the middle. So the power steering is making a bit of a noise, but this is a preview to next week's video. Let me show you guys the cluster. Oh yes, oh yes. E46 M3 is up and running. I haven't yet put the CSL wheels on it, but yeah, next week's video is gonna be interesting. Till we meet again, guys. Peace.